distortion is everything. And unfortunately, that seems to be the case with this particular situation here. So one of the things I want to do, that I like to do, and I try my best to do on the show, is that I try to cut through all the BS and just give it straight to you guys, and then offer different proposals as to what could actually be the case. So there's a gentleman by the name of Kenny Veach who went missing from what I understand to be, I think it was last year, 2019. And because there's so much misinformation surrounding this reeks of some type of low-level cover-up, to be completely honest with you guys. Now, the first thing I want to say before jumping right into it is very quickly, Kenny Veach's girlfriend allegedly made a post on Facebook that I'm putting up on the screen right now regarding what happened to her boyfriend. I want to say that if Kenny Veach did in fact commit suicide, as one rumor has suggested, even though no body has been found, that I am not trying to encourage or push any type of false narrative having to do with suicide. Mental health is a very serious thing, and I want to make that very clear. So I mean absolutely zero disrespect to Kenny Veach, to his girlfriend, to his family, and so on and so forth. I just want to cover what's there, and I want to present what possibly could have happened, because it is very fishy. Even his girlfriend must admit that. So let's jump into it. Kenny Veach was known as a hiker. He's a 47-year-old man, just, regular American guy and American citizen. Liked to hike, went to different places all over the country, really. But near Nellis Air Force Base, which is near Area 51, he liked to do hiking, particularly around something called the M Cave. Now, it's called the M Cave because it's shaped in the form of an M generally, according to people who have been there. Now, supposedly, the coordinates of the M Cave have not been given out publicly. I mean, if you really search, you could find it. I think there were a couple videos where some hikers went to go check it out after Kenny Veach. With that being said, Kenny Veach was known to use an alternate name online, as do many people, to comment on things, and he told people that he was looking for the M Cave. People commented back, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'm putting it up on the screen right now, saying, listen, don't do it. If you've already been, then do not go back. You may not return. Now, there's been many different stories about the M Cave and what happens there, but one thing is for certain. The M Cave has the same attributes and consistencies with that of Middle Eastern, I guess we could say, caves that soldiers have reported, allegedly, disappearing to and from, and have never been found. With that being said, there seems to be some type of consistent vibrational frequency that allows for certain instances to occur, whether it's teleportation to another time zone on the planet, to another dimension, to another realm. I'm not sure. What's interesting about this, the most significant thing about all of this, is that his disappearance falls in line directly with that of soldiers in Middle East caves and things like that, in the sense that no bodies have ever been found. Items and belongings to these people have been found, like, hats, guns if they were soldiers and things like that, but nothing else has been found. Which is why, if it were to be suicide, for example, you'd think we would have found the body. And honestly, if this was some type of suicide cover-up by the government or by the people at Area 51, they probably would want the body to be found, and they probably would have the technology and the resources to stage it as a suicide. So to call it a suicide, I honestly, I'd put that at a very low probability, to tell you guys the truth. And listen, I could be completely wrong. Maybe something will come out in the future that will disprove this theory or proposal, but I'd give it like a 25% chance that he committed suicide. Now, again, I don't know his personal past. I don't know if he had mental health issues. I'm not sure. Again, what I'm trying to focus on is the cave, of course, and it's, again, unfortunate that Mr. Veach had to go missing. With that being said, it's very interesting to see many people talking about how they have had friends themselves who went to this cave and suddenly disappeared. Now, there's a few different theories as to what this could have been. Honestly, and there's some pretty good ones too, I'm not going to lie. So I'm going to be putting the article up on the screen right now. But the thing about this is that there's a list of what may or may not have happened to Kenny Veach. And again, it's just a list put together by strangeoutdoors.com, but nonetheless, it's a very probable list. Now, the first one, obviously, which we just covered, was, did he commit suicide? The second is, did he, maybe he ran out of luck, fell down a mine shaft, got bitten by a snake, or attacked by a mountain lion. The latter seems unlikely since his body nor skeleton have ever been located. However, there are many, dangerous shafts in the area which can easily get you killed or lost. But with a lot of experience doing these mine searches, why did he happen to go missing on this trip? End quote. That's one of the points from strangeoutdoors.com. Again, he ran away and staged his appearance. Some have postulated that Kenny was worried about his business and wanted to start a new life with a daughter, granddaughter, and girlfriend that he had back home. That seems unlikely, end quote. Then the next theory is essentially that he stumbled or got too close to some type of government project or some type of secret experiment that needed to be covered up, and they couldn't risk even staging a suicide. All I can say is this: the fact that there is a ton of disinformation out there about this should say something. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there is a handful of people or a fair amount of people that are on the internet just, blogging and making stuff up and just trying to see if their article or their blog gets any attention. That's fine. But how many people do that before you have to look at it and take a step back and say, okay, wait a minute, this looks like a disinformation kind of cover-up method here, right? I mean, he could have stumbled across something that was, I guess we could say, a seepage of some type of experiment going on at Area 51 or the Nellis Air Force Base, which residually and ultimately caused him to die, and so they cover that up entirely, and they just obviously disposed of the body as they saw fit. I honestly, and this is not because I want to, but because I feel the necessity, and my intuition tells me he came across something that was anomalistically charged, meaning we can't explain it, and I think that whatever he came across of in this M cave, either it did a number on him physically, it really damaged him, and his body was later found by the military, and it was disposed of because he may have entered a cave that had certain energies and frequencies in it that may not be, I guess one could say, compatible with that of the human consciousness as it stands currently, as it exists currently with such a limited, enclosed mind that us humans at this point in society's life, modern society tends to have. It could be that he ended up teleporting to a base, to a planet. There's so many different instances here. And so I'm not going to extrapolate and sit here and pretend like I know the answers to where he went. If I had to put my money on something, I would more than likely put it on the fact of either A, it was he walked into something the government didn't know was a geographical residual effect of vibrations, and so he died and they covered up his body, or he literally got involved accidentally in something that may have teleported him somewhere else or put him into another realm or dimension. And I say this because people walking into caves or very particular unique structures, natural structures mostly, even though may have been artificially carved in some cases, tend to suddenly disappear and never return. Again, I can name tons of stories. Now, again, some of it is folklore, with the stargates and all that. Some of it has been allegedly proven on a very small scale, but if it's proven on a small scale, it would ultimately mean that it could be done on a much larger scale if you had the resources, which, knock knock, the government does, right? So it could have been that. It could have been a few other things, but there's a constant reoccurrence over and over and over again. Whether it's these soldiers in Afghanistan or in other parts of the Middle East, whether it's rumors of Iraqi stargates, whether it's this M cave, whether it's folklore or different rumors or stories that are hundreds of years old talking about people walking into a certain square, I guess we could say, structure, so to speak, that acted as a gate of the gods, and then rumored to disappear and never come back. There's something that is anomalistic within certain parts of our planet that they're trying to cover up. It's very simple. And it seems to be places where coincidentally cities are never built, towns are never built, or if there are small towns around those areas, they're never expanded on with respect to construction and things like that. And so it really brings up the question, what is all of this for? What is the purpose of all of this? And one of the reasons I think that is behind all of this has to do with the fact that this M cave is just one entrance into many different organizations of different beings that are sharing this planet and that have shared this planet with humans for a very long time. As a matter of fact, I'd go one step further dare to say there is substantial proof slowly coming out that humans were not even the first ones on this planet, but that's for another time. With that being said, I think that what happens here is that because there's different, I guess we could call them beings, races, species, aliens, extraterrestrials, EBEs, whatever you want to call them, that are sharing this planet, there are certain parts that humans know, particularly those within government, obviously, because these beings would regard politicians as our leaders, so to speak. They know that they cannot go into a certain part or build in a certain areas of the planet because it is inhabited either underground or in another realm, but still on this planet. And so that is what makes it so significant. And that is what makes it so starkly prevalent. Because they need to be careful. And this M cave may actually be a residual slip up of some type of anomalistic, vibrational, electromagnetic energy that maybe we publicly don't understand, but the government does. And it's kind of like when you're trying to cover something up, but there's always going to be leaks and seepages, so to speak. It's very possible that Mr. Veach may have stumbled upon this. Again, people who like to hike and all that, accidents happen to them, yes. And again, if he was suicidal, then I mean no disrespect by trying to create an alternative story. By no means. But ultimately, when hikers are found, there's bodies, there's evidence that an accident occurred or something like that. When there's no evidence, just stories in the past about this cave, that tells you something. This guy, Kenny Veach, I don't know if he had ever gotten some type of degree or whatever in cryptozoology and things like that, but he seemed to be very much into it. He seemed to be able to know what he was doing with animals. He seemed to be someone who was a very well experienced hiker. The guy had a family. I mean, come on, to say that he would disappear with a family like that, I mean, it's certainly very possible. It certainly happened, I'm sure, many times in the past, but I mean, come on. There comes a point where it's like, okay, you guys know what I mean? So please let me know what you guys think, because it's a very serious situation. It's very interesting. Clearly there's something going on, and I don't mean to be vague or general about that. All I'm trying to simply say is that whatever is happening there clearly is something that we cannot explain and is publicly unavailable to us to ascertain. So let me know what you guys think, and we'll catch you next time. Thank you.